Look at this, a track.
Martin Scorsese is arguably the greatest film director of his generation. Leonardo DiCaprio is the quintessential 21st century movie star.
Oh, fantastic.
Following the Oscar-winning success of their last collaboration, The Departed, the star and director re-teamed for a fourth time with the period thriller Shutter Island. On the eve of the film's UK release, Scorsese and DiCaprio met in London to discuss both their current and their previous work.
Wow, that's cool. Look, a little moving track. That's great. That is interesting.
That is absolutely...
Never quite seen that interview of any kind.
They have to make a big deal, but they got to put down usually giant
Look at this,
tracks.
they're trying to make it like a little independent movie. That's the thing.
No, but you see, that's the idea. I'm talking about
our
regular films that we shoot, and guys come in, they do a great job, but they have put, you know, cranes
he's adding tension. Like, look,
it's
a little Hitchcock shot.
Shake that frame.
The Orson Welles.
Don't forget to shake the frame. That's it. Yes.
You're going to run after us?
Okay, enough silliness. Yes.
A lot of people know about this place, but no one will talk, you know? It's like they're scared of something.
You haven't taken any pills, have you? Seen any walking nightmares lately, Marshall?
Pull yourself together, Teddy.
This is a mixture of dreams, reality, his past trauma, and it's all, the lines are blurred in this movie, so there's this tiny little segment, and all of a sudden you walk up on set one day, and I'm looking at this segment in the movie, and I say to him, wait a minute, this is the most important scene in the entire movie, isn't it, Marty? And he'll go, yeah, absolutely. If this scene doesn't pay off, if people aren't engaged emotionally in this, the whole film falls apart. So go get them.
Yeah, but you see, the thing with you is that you're willing to do it. So you're willing. That's why I thought, well, I don't know exactly myself, but I know you're willing to take it on that trip, on that journey, on that voyage. You're willing to go. And you're not going to let go of it until you feel that you've reached it.
We treat them, try to heal, try to cure. And if that fails, at least we provide them with a measure of comfort in their lives, calm.
These are all violent offenders, right? I mean, they've hurt people, murdered them in some cases.
In almost all cases, yes.
And personally, Doctor, I'd have to say screw their sense of calm.
Also, we had just gone through Departed, where you also, I felt, had gone to another level. Again, one that we hadn't anticipated.
For Martin Scorsese, Shutter Island follows The Departed, the film which finally won him his long overdue first Oscar, despite being nominated on 5 occasions, including both previous movies with DiCaprio, The Aviator and Gangs of New York. It's a working relationship that has seen critical and commercial success, and one which began through a mutual collaborator.
I, of course, did This Boy's Life, as you know. You know all this information. That's
yes, I do, yes.
And you've heard me say
but you can tell me again.
I did This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro, who you know. You know him.
Robert De Niro, I know, yes.
Yes, you do. Yes. You've met him before. So I had to do research, as I hadn't seen many Robert De Niro's films except for Midnight Run with my father.
Well, explain, though, I think, how old were you, though?
I was 14 at the time. 15 years
so
old.
It's understandable that you hadn't seen a lot of his films that he had made in the early 70s. You weren't allowed to. You were too young. You would have seen it. You would have been traumatized.
Traumatized. Never recovered. So I was 15, and I saw Taxi Driver. That was my first introduction to your films, and I was immediately captured by Travis Bickle and felt empathetic, sympathetic towards him, and wanted to clean the streets with him, and hated the residents there. And until that moment where he started to betray me, which was a very big betrayal.
He starts to make a change.
Starts to make a homemade killing device.
Yeah, crazy.
Then I started to realize, wow, I'm not supposed to be sympathetic towards this guy. I don't really understand. And so at 15 years old, getting my mind wrapped around that concept was kind of a revolutionary idea for me in the following of a characterization. And so that was my first introduction to your work. And I'll shut up now.
Yes, my introduction to you was Bob De Niro, again, telling me after working on This Boy's Life, since this kid I was working with, this young kid named Leo, said, name's DiCaprio, you should really work with him sometime, he's really good. That was it. And we don't really, you know, Bob and I would tend to meet each other sometimes. We have a lunch every now and then in an Italian restaurant. We talk, you know, we don't say anything, you know, who's that guy going by? We try to, you know, don't say anything. And he says, yeah, he's a good kid, don't you know? You may want to work with him. I said, all right, let me know. Let me know if what else he has. He goes, yeah, you should see these other pictures. There's something else he did about Gilbert something he's going to do. So then I saw this Gilbert Grape picture, the Lasse Hallström, right? And you and Johnny. That was an extraordinary thing because I didn't quite know. You see, I had seen that before. Then I saw This Boy's Life after. So I think it was the first thing I'd seen of your work. So I honestly didn't, when I saw it on TV, it's sad to say, but it was a very big screen. And,
Sven Nykvist was the cinematographer.
Yeah, you know, that particular
You shouldn't
picture,
have seen it on television.
I
Sven
know,
Nykvist.
but it didn't matter. It was on. I was just about, it was started, and I said, let's watch this, because I heard about Remember Your Name, and but I couldn't find you in it. In other words, I didn't know. It seemed to me like a semi-documentary. I couldn't quite tell. Then I realized it was you acting in it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was just it was an extraordinary work, an extraordinary, beautiful work. And other friends had told me about the picture too prior to that. That's why. And it was not playing in theaters anymore, and I missed it, etc. So that was the first time. And then when I was finishing Bringing Out the Dead, there was talk of doing a movie at Warner Brothers. I owed them a movie, I think, from an old deal. That became Departed, actually.
That became Departed?
This movie,
Because Miramax was Gangs of New York.
exactly. But Departed wound up at, Departed somehow wound up doing this picture, Departed, at Warner Brothers. And apparently I owe them another film, I think they told me, but I don't know. Something like that, yes. But the whole point, you see, is what happened that when I found out that you liked my pictures, or at least the films, that I made with Bob, and Gangs of New York was going to be put together. Mike Ovitz brought us together.
I already sought out Gangs in New York ever since I was 18.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I was 18 years old and wanted to work with you and had been tracking what happened with the project.
That's it.
Quite simply, we didn't know each other, and there's a trust factor that develops, I think, naturally over time. I think the more we talked, the more we discussed the type, and both our mutual enthusiasm for different art forms, mainly cinema, gave us an understanding that I think that we had the same intent. We didn't always know what we were going to do from movie to movie, and I think that's
that was kind of the fun
idea.
of it too.
Yeah.
That was kind of the fun. When you guys sent me the script of The Aviator, I had gotten Gangs of New York sort of almost out of my system. I don't think it still is out of my system completely. But I said, yeah, let's try working together on this, and that's the picture where we really forged something of really very well planned pre-production with John Logan, the writer, a process of discovery, a process of catching literally major research,
Absolutely.
and many hours of discussion, and all distilled down to that performance that that you gave in the film, and ultimately into the last scene where he looks in the mirror and says, "The way of the future."
Well, it was incredibly empowering for me because having brought the project to you, I felt a massive amount of responsibility for the movie as well. But no, I think that was where I think a lot of the trust was really forged in our relationship, quote unquote, because you gave me this tremendous responsibility too, and you put it in my hands. You said, all right, you have ownership of this man now. You are therefore responsibility to bring this man to the table to me. And that, to me, I think that was a moment that definitely changed me as an actor, for sure.
Extreme tension mixed with the threat of impending violence has been a common thread of practically all of Martin Scorsese's movies. In Shutter Island, these themes are combined with elements of psychological horror to create something closer to classics such as the original Haunting or Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Gripping and engaging character dramas with genuinely unnerving thrills.
Who knows about this?
Everyone.
The nurses, the orderlies? They couldn't possibly know.
Everyone. You do understand that they can't let you leave.
Going somewhere?
He calls me up and says, "I'm interested in the movie." I'm like, "What movie?"
Yeah. We always...
So I read the script, and at first glance, from reading the screenplay, I was tricked by it. But maybe I thought maybe this is too reliant on genre, or this is such a specific type of film noir, gothic horror, psychological thriller. It's so trapped in the genre where I'm trying to search for the character here, and And it didn't quite occur to me until we wound up on set and had to physically do some of these scenes, how this was possibly the most challenging and one of the more intense characters I've ever had to play. I didn't, you know, in all honesty, quite grasp it from even the book or the screenplay, because there's only so much you can extract from words on a page. And I have to tell him that.
Yeah, don't look at me at all.
I have to look at him and tell him that.
Good, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'll keep a straight face, don't worry.